This is the Zoro fight we've all been waiting for. Just 50 chapters into the story, Zoro had a chance at accomplishing his dream, and well, it ended with him crying. But with that moment, he showed his conviction and swore to never lose again. And now, nearly 1,000 chapters later, we are still waiting on the rematch of Zoro versus Mihawk. So in this video, we'll be breaking down Zoro's remaining opponents before he fights Mihawk, when Zoro will actually fight Mihawk, and the craziness we'll see in that fight. But to find that out, you need to be part of the King Pirates crew, so I need you to go down below, slice up that red subscribe button until it bleeds out and is no longer red. But let's start by discussing Zoro's path to Mihawk, and honestly, there's not that many opponents left. Besides Mihawk, who is another person that you realistically see Zoro fighting? Not gonna get into manga spoilers, but of course he has to defeat someone in Wano, but beyond that, the only guaranteed opponent I see for Zoro is Shiryu. I discussed this a bit in my Straw Hats and Blackbeard Pirates matchup video, which you can check out right here, but the clash between the Straw Hats and the Blackbeard Pirates will definitely happen eventually, and with the amount of main crew members each crew has, is clearly lining up to be 1v1 matchups, and Shiryu is very clearly going to be Zoro's opponent in my opinion. No other Blackbeard Titanic captain is really a swordsman besides Shiryu. Shiryu's personality I also believe is the perfect matchup for Zoro. He's incredibly bloodthirsty and violent, previously killing prisoners just to satisfy his bloodlust. It was so bad even Magellan had to be like, alright dude, we need to lock your ass up. But yeah, with Zoro being someone who's always in incredibly violent fights that test his durability and conviction, Shiryu will be the perfect matchup. Especially now that Shiryu has the invisible fruit, a power similar to Sanji, it could create some really fun dynamics and great battle scenes. And another thing to note is that we even got the name of Shiryu's sword, Ryu, in a Weaver card, just further emphasizing that he is a swordsman. So the matchup with Shiryu I absolutely see happening, but outside of that, how many more opponents is Zoro gonna have left in the story? If we think purely in terms of conflicts and villains, the only main group left is the world government. And within the world government, there are definitely a few very good opponents for Zoro to fight. If the Gorosei turn out to be strong, this Gorosei holding a sword will surely be Zoro's opponent, and I do think he is actually strong because that sword that he's holding is definitely the Shodai Kitetsu. If we look at the Kitetsu blades and the way that they're designed, the sword that the Gorosei have is definitely a Kitetsu blade, and the only Kitetsu blade remaining we have not seen in the story is the Shodai Kitetsu. So I'd imagine the Gorosei don't just have that sword around as a souvenir like they're gonna make it into an NFT soon, but instead he's actually decently strong and uses the sword for combat. Plus, like, somebody within the Celestial Dragons have to be strong, right? They can't all just be walking gummy bears. So from the world government, I can see the Gorosei as a potential opponent for Zoro. But in the war against the world government, there should be many more opponents involved, and one of the things I've always wanted to see is the monster trio versus the admirals. The problem with this one is that there's a good chance that the admirals themselves might not be villains. Fujitora we already know is a good person, and he's developed a pretty good relationship with Luffy. Green Bull, although we have no idea who he is, seems to be on good terms with Fujitora, so he could be a similar type of person. And then there's Kizaru, who if you pass some edibles to, I think he'll be fine. Also, there's the mysterious element of Sword, which many people believe is a secret division that's against the world government, so a couple of these admirals might turn out to be allies. But if we do get a Zoro versus Admiral fight, the most likely scenario I see right now is a very high level preliminary fight. Even if some of these admirals are part of Sword, they can't just betray the world government right away. I'm sure they have their own plan. So in the meantime, they'll at least play their role, and I think the best candidates to fight Zoro has to be either Fujitora or Green Bull. Kizaru can make himself a light sword and become a swordsman, but if he's fighting any Straw Hat, I think Sanji is the best option, because Sanji specializes in speed and observation haki and will make for a really good matchup. But with the other two admirals, they could be really good opponents for Zoro. First off, Fujitora would be a nice callback to Dressrosa, where the two of them had a quick skirmish, and this will be a great way to really measure how much stronger Zoro has grown since their fight. Plus, Fujitora also wields a sword, so that's perfect for a Zoro fight. Green Bull, on the other hand, comes down to purely speculation and theories. Although we've literally only seen the silhouette of the bottom of his face, there's a couple of very strong theories on who he actually is, and many of these theories actually point to Green Bull being Zoro's dad. I'm not gonna dive into those theories in this video, but if you're interested, Mr. Morge and Uteron both have their own theories on this. Personally, I'm not very strong on these theories, but I can't deny the possibility, so if any of these theories turn out to be true, I'd imagine we have to see this father and son fight at least to get some more information. But it just feels a little cliche to me, like a pretty overused twist. Beyond that though, the last group of people under the world government umbrella are the CP0. These guys are also still quite unknown, we don't know what they look like, but because they're top tier Cypher Pole agents, I'd imagine they're pretty damn strong. None of them look like a swordsman, but I'm sure one of them could have a sword hidden somewhere. But with the CP0, we could see action from them in Wano because of their involvement with Orochi, and if they don't take action now, they'll definitely be fighting during the war against the world government. Because we really really don't know any of them right now, we can't really speculate, but I can totally see him being matchups for other Straw Hats in the future. Besides that though, I don't really see any other opponents Zoro has to fight. I mentioned this in my last video, but I think it'd be cool to see Zoro challenge Shanks, and he might have the opportunity to do so if we end up seeing a Straw Hats versus Red Hair Pirates Davy Bag fight. But speaking of Davy Bag fights, I think that could also be when Zoro fights Mihawk. The timing for the Zoro and Mihawk fight is in a weird place right now because of how many different things are going on, but also the relationship of Zoro and Mihawk now are quite different. These two are not only on respectful terms, but Mihawk literally trained Zoro during the time skip. Now of course they did that with the understanding that Zoro's still trying to surpass Mihawk and they're not gonna hold back when they actually fight, but it's a little difficult to imagine when this fight is gonna go down because it doesn't really fit in any plot lines. And part of the reason is because Mihawk is a straight loner. This man doesn't get involved with anybody. Even though he's a pirate, he's clearly not looking for the One Piece, so he won't be involved in the Laugh Tale plotline. And even though he works for the world government as a warlord, it seemed like he just did it so he can chill out and start a garden. So the only option left, and really the only connection Mihawk has, is Shanks. And maybe that's who he's gonna be with the next time we see him because the world government is on his ass now. Obviously I don't expect him to be in actually any danger, but he's still a pretty reasonable guy, so I'm sure he knows that he's better off teaming up with someone now that he's wanted again. And so far in the story, it seems like his only friend is Shanks and also Perona, but they might have become more than friends during the time skip. But yeah, I could definitely see Mihawk temporarily teaming up with the Red Hair Pirates, and that could be a great way to reintroduce him into the story. There's probably not going to be many arcs left if we go by Oda's recent comments on the story ending in 5 years and that we're heading into Endgame, so a lot of these different plot lines are going to have to connect together in certain arcs to fit it all in. And in my opinion, it's very possible that we get Shanks, the Red Hair Pirates, and Mihawk all in Elbaf. I've said this many times now, but Elbaf is one of the only islands left that I'm confident the Straw Hats will go to, and it's got some strong Norse mythology connection which Shanks also has. So Luffy and Shanks could definitely reunite on Elbaf, and when they do, I fully expect them to just go at each other. The original promise for Luffy to return to Straw Hat was when he became a great pirate, and they've stuck by this promise pretty strictly. Shanks didn't even see Luffy during Marineford. So when Luffy finally meets Shanks again, he's gonna have to prove that he's become a great pirate. And not only do I expect them to have a Conqueror's Haki clash that splits the skies, but I also want to see how their crews stack up. Because Luffy's not the only one with a connection to the Red Hair Pirates. There's also Usopp and Yasopp. So if we have a scenario where the Straw Hats and the Red Hair Pirates are getting in a friendly duel and Mihawk is with the Red Hair Pirates, that could be the perfect opportunity for the rematch. Now personally, I've always really liked the idea of a Davy Bag fight because it'd be a great callback to Foxy, and it just turned that silly ass game into probably one of the most epic competitions in the story. They can wager the Straw Hat as well. I think it could work really well if Oda decided to do this. But if that's not the route Oda takes, maybe they just go old school like the Roger Pirates and the Whitebeard Pirates. Essentially a friendly matchup where nobody is really trying to actually hurt each other, but they're definitely going all out and really testing each other. One way or another, I see the Straw Hats and the Red Hair Pirates having a high level friendly matchup, and as of right now, it's probably my best guess for when this rematch between Zoro and Mihawk is happening. Because besides that, I don't really know how Mihawk is gonna get involved with other plot lines and also have this rematch with Zoro. Like even if he decided to help out against the world government or something like that, it'd be kind of weird if he just rematched Zoro after it. And again, the guy literally has no friends, so it's hard to see him getting involved with any other plot line. Some people have also pitched the idea of Mihawk dying to somebody like Shiryu, but I think that would really ruin the build up for this rematch and the hype surrounding Mihawk. He's the strongest swordsman in the world, and Zoro should be the only one to take that title from him. But the next question is, what are we actually gonna see in this fight? And honestly, I think this could be one of the most beautiful fights in the story with some great choreography. Both of them are just straight swordsmen, so there's no devil fruit element involved, but the simplicity makes things even more exciting. Like recently, I just saw Marvel Shang-Chi, and just some of the basic combat scenes involving no superpowers were some of my favorites of the movie. So we could definitely see a similar effect for this fight, but of course there's also the Haki element. Now Zoro, as we saw in the anime, it seems like he has Conqueror's Haki, and I fully believe Mihawk will have it as well given his position and power. So Conqueror's Haki clashes are absolutely gonna go down, and we might even get to the level of the blades not touching. Honestly, if it's at that level, visually this is essentially like seeing an extended version of Whitebeard versus Roger. Visually, just visually, don't get upset. Now I'm not sure if this fight is gonna reach Sky Splitter level, but I really hope it does. If we get Luffy and Shanks splitting the skies and then Zoro and Mihawk splitting the skies in the same arc, I'm gonna be looking like that meme of the monkey in the hospital, but at least I'll die happy. Also, I like to propose a official change of Sky Splitter level to Sky Fuck. But yeah, this fight is gonna be very high level, and another thing we have to consider is whether or not Zoro can make his blades black. We found out pretty recently that Enma has the potential to get leveled up into a black blade, and I'm guessing the same goes for some of Zoro's other blades. And the process of creating a black blade was kinda described by Onimaru a little earlier. He specifically said that Shusui was a black blade forged through Ryuma's many battles. Now the emphasis on the word forge is interesting because the process of forging a sword involves shaping the sword by smashing it with a hammer after it's been heated. The idea of doing that through battles is interesting because clashing swords is kinda creating a similar effect. And I think it's no coincidence that a black blade is the same color of when armament haki is applied to a blade. So my theory on this is, not only do you need an incredible amount of haki applied to your blade, but you need an equal amount of pressure coming back to really forge it into a black blade permanently. And if Mihawk and Zoro are fully going at it, that could be the perfect scenario for Zoro to create some black blades. Now I'm not sure if all his blades are gonna turn black. Emma's the one that's been foreshadowed, but the Wado Ichimonji is Zoro's main sword. But even just getting one black blade would be a nice way to kinda even the playing field because Mihawk is one of the only people in the story with a black blade. I also expect this fight to be really brutal. Like I said, these guys are not holding back. And with how violent Zoro fights tend to be with the amount of damage he deals and takes, I expect this one to be no different. One of these hands have a coin in it. If you guess wrong, you have to like, subscribe, and watch that video. The hand that has the coin is this one.